We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong.
Hey guys, so there are a lot of inconvenient facts about the Iryna Zarutska case and other crime in the US that the mainstream media just does not want you to notice. So for instance, the fact that the man can allegedly be heard in the audio after he murders Iryna saying, "I got that white girl." But this CNN panel, led by the fearless Abby Phillip, does not want you to think about race. In fact, they're going to shame anyone who says that race is a factor in this case, or that race is a factor in any of the other various interracial crimes that we've seen in recent decades, because there are many, many examples, and the truth is that white people are more likely to be a victim of black crime than black people are to be a victim of white crime. And those are just the statistics. So let's get into the CNN panel.
Want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
about
difficult
forcing them to be there.
When you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill. But also, I mean, people like Charlie Kirk, Van, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of like reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think he's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
You know, let me just say a couple of things. One is, I mean, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's nightmare. If you're in any public space, subway, whatever, that something bad's going to happen to you or somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level. So I think that's an important thing to point out.
How about statues? How about burning down cities? How about the entire world coming to a stop because this former porn star, fentanyl user, if not addict, was selling Lucy's on the side of the road. I mean, it's totally maddening to hear these people talk as if they are unaware of the game the left has played for years and years and years. The entire Black Lives Matter movement is premised on the idea that we are going to ignore the statistical reality of police stops and police shootings, etc., and we are going to make national cases out of certain footage. Even when that footage, by the way, is not conclusive with regards to the cop's guilt or the, subject's innocence. There is a lot of body cam footage that makes you wonder, what's going on here, especially if you watch the entire clip, especially if you have full context for, why the police were having a confrontation with this person in the first place. And certainly we've seen a lot of body cam footage, which really does not make the victims in question look very good. I mean, we see them lunging at the cops, or we see them, grabbing for a cop's gun or something like that, or, waving around a weapon. There are all of these aggressive moves which have been exposed by body cam footage, and which previously we wouldn't have had. But for Van Jones to pretend as though the George Floyd case really had this muted cultural or legislative impact is ridiculous.
Now, the other thing is, you mentioned the thing about cashless bail. I think this is a big challenge that we have. Would you have felt better if there had been cash bail and the mom had come and put down $1,000 to let him out? It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
Well, actually, Van Jones, the suspect in question appears to have uttered the word white girl. He appears to have said, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. So Van Jones says that it's wrong for Charlie Kirk to assume that he knows what's going on in the suspect's mind, but Van Jones then proceeds to concoct this story about the subject hurting and being a hurt person that's going to go out and hurt people. Well, let me ask you this. What if he was just dumb? What if he was just evil? I mean, there are all of these possibilities, and Van Jones is sort of right. I mean, it's very difficult to really put yourself in the mind of a guy like that because he is so far beyond the pale of what most normal human beings are, and the thought process of most normal human beings, and the impulse control of, civilized people. But contrary to Van Jones's assertion, we actually do know how to deal with people like this. The man that is accused of murdering Iryna, DeCarlos Brown Jr., has an incredible rap sheet. He seems totally unrepentant. And so, he cannot be a part of society. No, he forfeited that right. And frankly, I don't really care if he has schizophrenia. I don't really care if he has some, deep childhood trauma, and he probably does. But that doesn't give him the right to terrorize everyone else and to murder an innocent, beautiful young girl on the train who really had her whole life ahead of her. Now, along with Iryna's case, there have also been several other examples of this sort of brutal interracial crime in the past few days. So you had this 59-year-old former professor at Auburn who was hacked to death, allegedly, by this suspect.
Police said her injuries suggest the death resulted from an assault. Auburn PD confirmed a suspect has been taken into custody. We're just now learning that suspect has been identified as Harold Rashad Dabney III from Montgomery. He's charged with 2 counts of capital murder related to her death. Auburn University issued a statement saying she was a beloved member of the school's College of Veterinary Medicine. Auburn sends its condolences to the family and loved ones during this difficult time. Senator Tommy Tuberville also issued a statement saying he's devastated by the news of this tragic loss in our community. We are praying for the victim's family and loved ones and for justice to be served.
Something that sticks out to me about these cases is that you have these women who, are contributing to their communities in some way, who are well put together, who basically most people would be happy to have in their neighborhood. And their killers are these antisocial, kind of rough-looking guys, and I wonder how many of these murders are motivated by resentment. And I don't think that's too far-fetched, considering that the education that Americans have been given for many, many years is that white people are the source of historical evil, and that the United States was founded on white supremacy and on Black oppression. And so I do wonder if that sort of rhetoric and narrative drives certain people to kill, or at least justifies the murder in their minds. Now, here is another instance of a woman being attacked. Thankfully, she survived, but the man that allegedly attacked her is out on bail now. And so going back to Van Jones's point in the panel about how, would $1,000 have changed anything? It could have, yes. We should not lower the barriers to releasing people like this.
Early morning hours of August 18th. Surveillance footage at a Ladybug Espresso in Lakewood shows this bikini barista serving a drink to a customer who then violently grabs her through the window, ripping her shirt. Screen captures give us a good look at Ezekiel Guerrero, the 19-year-old that Lakewood police tracked down a week later in Kent. You can see him here in handcuffs.
Is that you? Yeah, that's me.
Guerrero keeps repeating he was not in the right state of mind.
It was just a flash. The moment I realized what I did, I let go.
Despite, according to police documents, Guerrero admitting to grabbing the young woman, he pleaded not guilty at his arraignment and is out of Pierce County Jail with a first-degree attempted kidnapping charge.
Well, it certainly makes you wonder if the guy was on drugs or what was going on, but again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he has demonstrated such poor impulse control. But more to the point, his impulses are something that most people don't want to do. I mean, most people don't get drunk and then immediately try to pull a barista into their car. I don't actually even know how, like, physically if that would have worked. So it was a poor plan from conception to execution. And I'm laughing, but these stories and these videos are pretty horrific. And it really does suggest to me that white women in this country have become acceptable targets of violence. Now, will you ever see the New York Times covering that? I highly, highly doubt it, but maybe they'll surprise me. Anyway, let me know what you think of these videos, the story, in the comment section below. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.